TNA Wrestling crossed that line again and delivered another epic pay-per-view, not without its controversy and its surprises. We'll get into all of that and so much more on the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast. Just want to say again, a big thanks to TNA, TNA UK, everyone responsible for allowing myself to go on the press pass with Joe Hendry this past week. It is up on the TNA YouTube channel. Go and search Joe Hendry Press Pass and go to around the 44-minute mark, and you may see somebody familiar in there asking Joe a question as well. So we got to do that, and it was fantastic. And also, while I'm here, do not forget to download that TNA Plus app. Get it downloaded, get it subscribed, get that championship pass. You can watch all the impacts, all the pay-per-views, and the archive TNA stuff from the past, including such wrestlers you may know as AJ Styles, Samoa Joe, Christopher Daniels, and so much more. Rebellion is in the books, and let's get it started. And it did start in a very good way. Fatal Influence versus Xia Brookside, Leia Yingli, and of course Rosemary in a great 6-woman knockouts match, which was a fantastic way to kick off the countdown to Rebellion. These 6 women are definitely ones to keep an eye on. Rosemary, we know, is very, very experienced in there. Xia Brookside and Lei Ling Yi really showing out in this one. And obviously, Fatal Influence from NXT ain't exactly any slouches themselves. JC Jane may well be doing her best work right now, perhaps as the leader. If you remember in NXT before, she was in a group with Gigi Dolan and Mandy Rose, and Mandy Rose was front and center. Well, at Fatal Influence, she is front and center of that group, and you can tell she's doing and she's thriving in that role. And again, getting more time on TNA will no doubt greater her experience and greater her, well, what she's doing there right now. As I said before, it was a good match. It was quite a corny ending in a sense on this. So the ending to this one was Rosemary was trying to convince Xia Brookside to use the brass knuckles to get the job done and get the victory for her team. Xia Brookside refuses it. Now Xia Brookside and Rosemary have been having a little bit of a to-do on Impact as of late, and because she refused on this one, she took a discus forearm for JC Jane and Fatal Influence from NXT pick up the pinfall victory. So it's going to be interesting on this one to see where they go from here. Will Rosemary and Xia Brookside collide again on TNA? This coming week, by the way, TNA Impact is live again. We get to see another live TNA Impact this coming Thursday, and you wonder whether Xia Brookside and Rosemary may have some unfinished business on that particular show this on Thursday night. But Fatal Influence pick up the victory and may go back to NXT this coming Tuesday. Who knows? Will they show up at Impact this week? The only way you can find out is by downloading that TNA Plus app. Elijah. We walked with Elijah as the countdown to Rebellion continued, and he had a Walk with Elijah open challenge. And my goodness me, the person that accepted the challenge was the mighty Don't Kneel, TDMK's Shane Haste from New Japan Pro Wrestling, in what was a shocker, really. I didn't expect that match at all. I just thought this was I didn't expect him to answer the challenge, and it was a really, really good match. I don't know what Shane's contract is. I know, as I said, under the mighty Don't Kneel with Zack Sabre Jr. and co, I'm assuming they're going to want to tie him down at New Japan. But I tell you what, if he ever becomes available, there's an acquisition right there that would do the world of good for TNA. This was fantastic. I did like this. Elijah, in my opinion, Elijah was always going to win this match. I didn't think that someone new coming in, unless they were signed by TNA, and I think Shane Haste may have been a one-shot deal, or potentially this coming week on Impact, we don't know. But nevertheless, it was a great match. Elijah picks up the victory with the Highwayman's Farewell, which I think is a great. I like that name for a finish. I really, really do. But both men deserve a lot of credit on this. I don't recall them working together previously. I certainly haven't seen a match that these two have been in against each other before. So chemistry was on point. The match was really good. The only thing I would say about and I think this is more to do with the venue and the fact Rebellion had a lot of red in it. The venue did have a lot of red in this as well. And I think it was just contrasting too much with the color and the visuals just seemed a little bit, I didn't think visually it looked great. And again, that's not a hit. It's just because I just felt that there was just such a, the colors and the cameras and the lighting with all this red and yeah, it was just a little bit too off. But nevertheless, the match itself was great and a good victory from Elijah. But Shane Haste showed up at a Rebellion, and hopefully it's not the last we see of him. But let's get straight down to action. Rebellion begins the only way Rebellion can begin. The Ultimate X match. My goodness me. Start a pay-per-view hot. We're still recovering. I think we're still on fire from the Ultimate X match, pitting Moose, who pulled double duty for God's sake last night. Moose, Leon Slater, Cardona, Vikingo, Navarro, Sidney Akeem. Where do you start with this? Leon Slater, I had to check in to make sure he was still alive, for Christ's sake. He pulled off some. I said to him at the interview, "You're going to do some stupid dive off the top of that thing, aren't you?" And he laughed. And he laughed because he knew that was going to do exactly that. He'd done his 630 cent on. I don't think they caught him properly when he went because his head slammed against the outside. Oh my God. The kid is just absolute nuts. When you've got Vikingo in there as well, and he's flying around like anything. Casey Navarro showed up in this as well, and he's such an exciting prospect. Whenever there's Cardona, you know there's going to be just nuts stuff going on as well. And Sidney Akeem, who can really rival Leon Slater in terms of what he can do. This match was absolutely bananas, 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 bananas. However, not without controversy in this match, I must say. The controversy in this match come at the end. Leon Slater is perched on the Ultimate X structure. The commentators do say that you have to unhook that championship and your feet must touch the floor. Leon Slater's kind of underneath the Ultimate X. He vaults himself up. He brings the belt down. On his way down, he eats a monster spear from Moose. However, the title is still in his hands as he hits the floor, which would result in Leon winning the X Division Championship. My prediction coming true. However, Moose picked up the belt after he speared Slater and was announced as the winner. Confused? Yes. There needs to be some kind. Look, VAR, right? In TNA, we need VAR in this because Leon Slater should have walked out of Rebellion the X Division champion, but Moose did. TNA, you need to sort this out this coming week on the live Impact on TNA Plus. You need to have a little look at that because we need to see what the hell is going on there. And in my opinion, Leon Slater is X Division champion. Not that my opinion matters for diddly squat in the world of TNA, but sort it out, boys. Our boy is X Division champion. Nevertheless, Moose is still the X Division champion as of right now, anyway. We move on from there to Knockouts tag team action. Ash and Heather by Elegance. They took on Lash Legend and Dakara Jackson from NXT. They took on Spitfire and Gigi Dolan and Tatum Paxley. I enjoyed this. Again, we spoke about the knockouts and we spoke about the NXT from Fatal Influence, and you've got two teams in NXT here. My From what I hear, Jakara Jackson and Lash Legend are very close to being called up to the main roster on WWE. So to have these two here was great. Gigi and Tatum, Gigi is another one for me. What I would wish, and I know that it probably isn't going to happen, and I know TNA can't necessarily make it happen. Gigi needs a singles run. Her as a tag, I like the tag team. Don't get me wrong, I do like the tag team, but for me, Gigi needs to go on a singles run in NXT, maybe in TNA, maybe go after the Knockouts champion. I don't know. I just felt that I just feel that Gigi is just better as a single. I know she was with JC Jane with when Mandy Rose's faction. She's just so good. And I don't think tag team wrestling does her justice, and that's nothing against her. I just think she's far better as a single. The big surprise for me on this one, I was expecting actually one of the NXT teams to pick up the victory and win the Knockouts Tag Team Championships, but interference from Maggie Lee, who has been kind of attaching, well, they've kind of attached herself of the elegances to Maggie Lee recently. She had interference. It allowed Ash to hit Jody Fret with ratified air, and the elegances retain. And I was really surprised by that. I just felt that at some point, an NXT star is going to win a TNA belt, and a TNA person is going to win an NXT championship. It's coming. That was a good opportunity. I'm surprised they didn't pull the trigger on it then. But nevertheless, the elegance is a Maggie Lee. Will it be Maggie by elegance or Lee by elegance by the time we get to live Impact this coming Thursday on TNA Plus? You just have to watch it and find out. But the elegances retain the Knockouts Tag Team Championship. Moose is back in action on this right now. The Rascals and Ace Austin, and they brought in Sean Waltman, X Park from D Generation X. They were all in the DX kind of gear as well. One of Ace Austin was taken off of Billy Gunn. He had these Mr. Ass or Mr. Ace bottoms on it. That was great, and they took on the system, who had Alicia Edwards at ringside. If you are, this was a fun, nostalgic match for me. I was a massive fan of D Generation X, and I loved it. There were so many little DX bits uh, in this. It was great. They had the we had the Road Dog Shuffle in this. We had so much. It was so good. There was a part where Alicia, surprise, surprise, tries to get involved. She eats an X Factor from Sean Waltman. And by the way, Waltman has still got it. He was kicking the system all over the place in this match, behind the referee's back, of course. It was great to see Waltman. He looks so well, and it's so good because sometimes when you see wrestlers after their career, I'm not saying his career's finished, but you see him and they're in a bad way. Waltman is in a great health, and it looks so good. And he was, as I said, kicking the system all over the place. It was so good to see on this. And interestingly enough, Zachary Wentz hits the UFO cutter on X Division champion Moose to pick up the victory. Now, you can argue Moose had just had an Ultimate X match not half an hour or so ago and was pretty beat up. I did wonder if that was going to be, if perhaps Moose was going to be the one being pinned on this, but it does beg the question. Does Zachary Wentz now get an opportunity to go for the X Division Championship? Is he next in line? However, in my eyes, like I said, Moose isn't the X Division Champion. TNA. Do your research, do your homework. Uh, but he is, in their eyes, still X Division Champion. But does Zachary Wentz get a shot now? Or can you put Leon Slater in that mix? Because technically he is the X Division Champion. Oh, TNA, you're doing this to me. We'll find out, I guess. this coming Thursday. And then we move on to yet another championship, the International Championship. Steve Macklin, Eric Young. This has been a feud that has been going on and on and on for a while now. And it doesn't look like it's actually going to stop either. Two kind of wily veterans in this. I hope Macklin doesn't mind me calling him a veteran. Eric Young certainly is. He's been around a long, long time, pretty much since TNA's inception, near enough. They had a great classic old school match. I really enjoyed this because I'm an old school wrestling fan, so I really did like the match that they put on. Did I feel as if Macklin was going to lose this match because he's just won the international championship? No, I didn't think that Macklin was going to lose it straight away. And actually, he ended up not to doing it. I didn't know whether this was going to be kind of an end situation between Macklin and Young because it's been going on for some time. The finish of the match automatically, I feel as if the finish of the match would indicate that this is not over. And the reason I say that is it wasn't a conclusive victory. Basically, Macklin reversed Eric Young's power driver into a roll up to secure the win. So for me, that's not decisive. He would need to hit the KAI or something along those lines to be the decisive victory. So he didn't do that. So that automatically in my head triggers another match. However, after the match, it was proven even more so that this isn't over because the Norman Armory come out and attack Macklin with a steel chain and then hang him by his throat over the top rope to choke him out. This is far from over. Where do they go from here, though? I don't know. And maybe last man standing, if you could. Does Macklin need some help because of the Northern Armory as well? I don't know. But Macklin retains, at least on this occasion, he's in a national championship. He will live to fight another day, though Eric Young and the Northern Armory will be waiting for him, surely, this coming Thursday on Impact on TNA Plus. We move on to another feud. I don't, again, is this, I think this one is over. Mike Santana, Mustafa Ali. My God. Like, you know, I must point out, I'm a big Mike Santana fan, have been for a while. This match was tremendous. They bled, Santana bled, they went through tables in this. I'm not sure how long these two are under contract with TNA. But if they are under any form of a long-term contract, they should build the company around these two. Santana, especially. My gut would say that Joe Hendry does make a move to WWE eventually. I think that's where he's heading. That's in his definite long, sort of short to long-term goal. Joe Hendry will go there, I think, once contract is up. I don't know, as I say, what these contracts are, but for me, Santana is the absolute one. I think Ali has come in and done a little bit here and there for TNA, and unless he's under a long-term deal, and I don't know. But for me, Santana is the blue chip wrestler. He is the one TNA should be building the company around if he's contractual. As I said, if he's got a long enough contract, I don't know. This was had a bit of everything in this match. It was great, and it had the interference. Tasha Steelz went through a table. He put Tasha Steelz through a table in this, so it did have the interference. It was Falls Count anywhere. Santana did hit the spin the block to score the pinfall victory on Ali after a war, an absolute war. I would like to think they park that now. And I think Santana needs to move up the next stage. What that next stage is, I don't know. Not sure Joe Hendry's quite ready yet. I'm not sure that bit's ready, but he should be moving up. To be fair, this match was probably better than the Ultimate X match. And coming from me, who loves the Ultimate X and who loved that Ultimate X match earlier on in the show, that kind of tells you how good this match was. But for me, Santana is the absolute blue chipper in TNA right now. He will be champion, world champion this year, in my honest opinion. That is, for sure. Um, we get a new acquisition in TNA right now, and it's in the Knockouts division. And I'm so happy for this person because she worked so hard in the WWE. She did win NXT Women's Championship, and then she got called up to the main roster, and it just petered out for her, unfortunately. And that person is Indy Hartwell, Indie Wrestling, whatever you want to call her. I am so happy for Indy Hartwell because if you look at what moving to TNA has done from the careers of AJ Francis and Ash by Elegance, who were also released from the WWE, and look how far they have come in terms of character, in terms of winning championships and everything. Indy is an absolute shoe-in to win a championship in TNA, and I am so happy that she's going to get her chance in TNA wrestling, and really wish Indy Hartwell luck. But this is a big, big acquisition for that Knockouts division because she is not a person to be messed with. But welcome aboard, Indy Hartwell. I cannot wait to see what's in your future. And funnily enough, she was introduced before the Knockouts Championship match between Masha Slamovich and Tessa Blanchard. Now, this is the one that I couldn't really call where this match was going. I wasn't sure who was going to win this one. I did say that I felt maybe shenanigans, DQ, a count out was going to be on the cards. It was again a back and forth match between the two. However, the ending did absolutely surprise me because Tessa Blanchard tapped out to the armbar of Masha Slamovich. Slamovich picked, and that is a decisive victory. We talked earlier on about Macklin and his championship match wasn't really decisive. This was clear cut, tap out, win. But that, and that is huge. Even as a champion, she may have come into this as the underdog, really, because a lot of people were expecting Tessa Blanchard to walk out of there as Knockouts champion. She tapped out. I mean, she's getting heat enough as it is. Now she's going to get nuclear, you tapped out heat on Thursday. She's going to, isn't she? If she's at Impact this Thursday live on TNA Plus, she is going to get nuclear, you tapped out heat. A lot of people were saying that actually she needs to eat some humble pie, and perhaps that was a way of doing it. I was all for her winning a Knockouts Championship if she was going to win it, because again, I don't care about the noise and about everything else. The stuff that the controversy online, whatever she's done. What I care about is when she's in that ring and that bell goes, and there ain't a lot of people better than Tessa Blanchard in the ring when that bell goes. So it didn't matter to me, but congratulations to Masha Slamovich on an absolute decisive victory against Tessa Blanchard. Is Indy Hartwell next? Are we going to get another NXT challenger next for this championship? We hopefully will find out this Thursday live on the Impact Live on the TNA Plus app. We will soon see. Probably the shock of the night is coming now. The World Tag Team Championships are on the line. The Hardy Boys against the Nemeth brothers. Everybody was expecting the Hardys to win this match, and everybody would have been wrong. That is, the Nemeth brothers pick up the victory. The danger zone from Nick Nemeth onto Jeff Hardy. Ryan Nemeth tags himself in and gets the pinfall. The Nemeth brothers walk out of Rebellion TNA Tag Team Championship champions. Sorry. I thought it was fine. The match was good. It was your typical tag match between the two. I mean, three of them. You don't really see Ryan Nemeth a lot, in wrestling. I certainly hadn't until maybe AEW days and now here. But you got your standard tag match here. It was a cheap heat victory. That's not, don't get me wrong. To be fair, anytime the Hardys lose, the crowd hate you anyway. They were only going to hate him even more. Ryan Nemeth stealing the victory is kind of what Ryan's been doing. He's always been kind of like I've always said this. I kind of felt Nick and Ryan was going to butt heads because Ryan was always the one that was kind of butting in, excuse me, and getting involved when he didn't need to. And he was the one that had Nick's title shot rematch against Joe Hendry, and for Nick to kind of come back in there, I'm not sure. I still think something's going to go on there, but the Nemeth brothers beat the Hardys and become TNA Tag Team Champions. Don't know. Really don't know. But let's get on to the main event of the evening. Joe Hendry, Frankie Kazarian cashing in his opportunity. Your call your shot opportunity. But they had a third man in this. That was NXT's Ethan Page in this match. I loved it. I thought this main event was perfect. Loved it. Frankie Kazarian. There was always would he win that match in the end? Would he eventually cash it in? I don't know. It was one of those. I wasn't sure if he was going to win it. The answer's no. Then I wasn't sure if they were going to do a big one and have Ethan Page pick up the victory and knock Joe Hendry off his perch. Because obviously Joe Hendry's been nursing the rotator cuff injury. He mentioned that on that press pass. Go and check it out on TNA's YouTube channel. But he didn't. The standing ovation from Joe Hendry onto Ethan Page picks up the victory, but, and I say a big but, because Joe Hendry may have won the match, but he got whooped by Trick. Trick Williams at the end of this match lays out Joe Hendry and posing with the NXT Championship as it goes off the air. Now, Shawn Michaels has indeed invited Joe Hendry to NXT on Tuesday to resolve this issue with Trick Williams. But could it be resolved this coming Thursday on Impact Live on TNA Plus? I don't know. Nevertheless, what a way to end the pay-per-view with that going off the air with Trick Williams and the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. What is going to happen? You join into NXT on Tuesday to find a continuation of the Joe Hendry stuff, as well as TNA Live this Thursday on the TNA Plus app. Get it downloaded, get it subscribed, get it watched. You are missing out if you are not downloaded and subscribed to that championship package. You are missing so much. I can breathe and relax. This has been the Rebellion interview on TNA or for TNA Wrestling on the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast with me, your host, Adam Cousins. Until tomorrow, everybody, when I'm back with Raw, cross that line and stay safe.